Before Bohemian Rhapsody or A Day in the Life or Happiness is a Warm Gun, we had Good Vibrations, a song comprised of various contrasting episodes in different keys, different tempos, with different instrumentations, and yet weaved together into a super cohesive pocket symphony. Good Vibrations was Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys showing that pop music could achieve the same levels of diversity and creativity as classical music. So today I want to dive into the workings of this wonderful piece of music, into its weird tempo changes, its key changes, and its instrumentation. Good Vibrations opens with just 3 instruments: lead vocal, Hammond organ, and bass guitar. The organ is playing a common minor key chord progression known as the Andalusian cadence: 1, flat 7, flat 6, 5. This provides a harmonic foundation for the other 2 instruments to weave melodically around each other. Rather than just pinning down the chord progression with root notes, the bass guitar here is treated more like a melodic instrument, more like an electric guitar. In fact, it's being played with a plectrum high up on the neck. The bass line beautifully weaves around the main vocal line, providing a counter melody without getting in the way of the main vocal. This iconic bass line was written by Brian Wilson and initially recorded by legendary bass player Carol Kaye.
He definitely wrote out some neat lines on the bass, like for instance, I'd have never played that.
Brian Wilson was a big fan of Carol Kaye's bass playing, and she'd recorded with the Beach Boys before. However, oddly, it seems that it might not actually be Carol Kaye's performance that we hear on the final version of Good Vibrations. This is because there were multiple bass players involved in the multi-day, multi-location recording sessions for Good Vibrations, and it's now actually disputed which bass player actually made it to the final cut. After 8 bars, the instrumentation expands, with the addition of 2 piccolos and a flute playing in the higher registers, and also a double bass playing root notes below our bass guitar. Usually there would be no need to have 2 bass instruments, a double bass and a bass guitar, playing on a song at the same time, but because the bass guitar is playing more of a melodic role here in the higher register, it means there's space below for the double bass to play the more traditional role of the bass instrument, underpinning the harmony. At the end of the verse, we get our first of many modulations in this song, modulating from E flat minor to the relative major of G flat major, via this D flat chord, the 5 chord in our new key of G flat major. In fact, the chorus is actually in a variation of G flat major, called G flat mixolydian, which is exactly the same as G flat major, apart from the 7th degree of the scale has been lowered, giving it a more bluesy tonality. And of course, with the arrival of the first chorus, we get the iconic theremin line. Then and now, hearing a theremin in music, particularly pop music, is a very rare occurrence. Listen to this clip of Brian Wilson explaining his choice to add theremin to the track.
I thought to myself, I'm picking up good vibrations, and I thought the cello was going, and I said, as long as we're doing something eerie today, why not get real eerie and put a theremin on it, At the high end, it's like,
Now, the theremin we hear on Good Vibrations is actually what's known as an electro-theremin. Rather than the typical hands-free style of theremin, which are notoriously hard to play in tune, the Beach Boys used an electro-theremin, which is a very similar instrument. However, the pitch is controlled with a slider, allowing for more accurate playing. The electro-theremin is sometimes referred to as a tannerin, after its creator, Paul Tanner. And in fact, it was Paul Tanner himself who performed the theremin parts on Good Vibrations. Now, the chorus of this song actually consists of one repeating 4-bar motif. However, this motif never gets a chance to get boring because it's constantly changing key. We initially get the motif in the key of G flat major.
I'm picking up good vibrations, she's giving me the excitation.
But then after 2 repetitions, we jump up to the key of A flat major.
I'm picking up good vibrations, she's giving me the excitation.
And then just 4 bars later, we jump up yet another tone to the new key of B flat major.
I'm picking up good vibrations, she's giving me the excitation.
And in an elegant bit of arrangement, this final key we reach, B flat major, actually provides a super smooth way to shift back to the versus key of E flat minor. This is because our new tonic chord here of B flat can now act as the dominant chord, the 5 chord, to the versus key of E flat minor, creating a smooth, perfect cadence modulation into verse 2. Now let's jump forward to the end of the second chorus. The second chorus once again jumps up through the keys of G flat major, A flat major and B flat major. But unlike the first chorus, which ends by modulating down again to the versus key of E flat minor, this time we stay in the new key of B flat major for this post-chorus interlude section. The next section of the song comes as quite a dynamic shift. All at once we get this abrupt change in tempo, key and instrumentation. We move from quite a large arrangement to just a Hammond organ playing a now slower tempo in the new key of F major. Good Vibrations was recorded in various sessions in various studios, and the final song was actually cut together from various fragments recorded in these lengthy and elaborate recording sessions. This abrupt change in dynamic tempo and key is one of the song's less subtle tape cuts, where 2 different takes recorded on different days and most likely in different places were cut together. However, the actual cut between the 2 takes is masked with the use of a big reverb with a long decay time. Reverb is also used to mask the cut point between the end of the section and the start of the final chorus. At the end of the section, we get this beautiful F11 chord stacked up in the vocal harmonies, which hangs in the air thanks to this massive long reverb. Now, just like the other 2 choruses we've had, this final chorus is built from that same 4-bar motif. However, unlike last time where we started in the key of G flat major and climbed up to A flat and then B flat, this time we actually do the opposite. We start in the key of B flat and then climb down to A flat and then G flat. And after this we actually then climb up again to A flat and then B flat again and then down to A flat. And this is the key that the song finally decides to stay in whilst we fade out for the end.
The situation with Good Vibrations, I don't think it was a funny record. It didn't make me laugh, you know. It made me cry because I had seen the idea. I had at once made sure that I had grasped the idea that when you take classical instruments and place them in a rock and roll environment, you have refined music. You have rock and roll brought to a height.
I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the mastery of Good Vibrations. This song was actually selected as a video topic by my patrons, so if you're interested in voting on future video topics, then do consider supporting me over on Patreon. And also, if you're interested in seeing how I made the thumbnail for this video, then I just uploaded a video on my second channel showing how I created it. It's linked in the description. And as always, a massive thanks goes to everyone who supports me on Patreon, including the names you see on screen right now, and Andre Sainz Diaja, Andy Deacon, Andrew Sussman, Austin Barrett, Austin Russell, Bob McKinstry, Boo Medell, Whitney Parker, Cameron Orvilla, Colin Aiken, Chris Cabell, Christopher Ryan, David Bennett is Hart, David Rivers, Donald Howard, Dr. Darren Wicks, Elena Skorchenko, Eugene Leroy, FD Hodor, Greg Kubowski, Ilamola Toner, Hamish Brocklebank, Hernick Kutcher, Hugo Miller, Ivan Pang, Jake Fisher, J.A. Kokensparger, John Dye, Josh Sanderlin, Justin Vigor, Mark Sotera, Mark Siegenhagen, Max O'Keefe, Melody Composer Squared, Melanie Schonert, Michael Vivian, Nathan Lawrence, Nathaniel Park, Nick Chang, Paul Middleton, Paul Muller, Paul Hazel, Peter Dunphy, Richard Bride, Roger Clay, Sadia Carone, John Kennedy, Steve Daly, Stephen Lazaro, Tim Beaker, Trisha Adams, Tim Payne, Victor Levy, Vidad Flowers, Vladimir Kodakov, Volti, the Washington Shakespearean Festival, Wayland Fairbanks, and Zayfod.